Ain't this place great? You got Vikings, you got samurais what can throw tornadoes around, and you got robots and futuristic shit. And at one point I thought I saw Robocop. I've got to say that I didn't think too much of this game way back in the day when I was a little shit when my parents got me a Sega Mega Drive in a car boot sale for Christmas alongside other games like Sonic 2. But playing Game Grounds now, my opinion has completely changed and I like this game now. However, I had trouble pronouncing this game at first where this does look like a J instead of an I. So all this time I've been pronouncing this game Kachiko Ground instead of Game Ground, so yeah. Who bright idea was that? Wow, I really got to work on that laughter. Game Grounds is a 2D action top-down view strategy game what was released back in 1990 on the Mega Drive. Although it was originally released as an arcade title back in 1988, then ported to the Master System and Mega Drive later on, well as other systems to the late PS2. But what I've heard, that one only came out in Japan and apparently the PS2 version is really bad to the point that I've been told to avoid that one at all costs, where that one is a remake fuck up of the original. So I'll be staying with the Sega Mega Drive version. With the story, it's quite a unique one. It takes place in the far future. The Game Ground combat simulator has become sentient. However, one day during the competition, the computer went crazy and the combatants and spectators alike were trapped inside the arena with no way of escape. So a few brave fighters who have volunteered to go on a rescue mission and fight through the system so it can be temporarily shut down. Temporary shutdown, you sure about that? Well, that's what it says at the end of the game. For the controls, I found them simple to use. You get 20 different characters, each one have their own standard attack and special move. And others can move faster than the other characters, but the slow ones often have the best special attack, like one may fire rockets while the other one throws bombs, and this one uses a tornado! Except I found myself favouring the archer character more than anything, where they can fire over walls. You can pick up other characters with these little figures that are laid out on some of the maps, and when you collect them they make a nice little happy tune, and then they follow you to the exit. But there is a catch, you have to get them to the exit to use them in the next round. But if you get hit while transporting them, you will lose that character, and the character that you were turns into that figure. There's one hit kill on your character, yet you can get them back by collecting them and getting them to the exit, and they'll be back in your roster on the next time round. And you can double up on characters where you have 2 of them in the same roster. You start off with 3 characters unless you're playing on the hardest setting, then you get all 20 at the start, but you don't pick up the characters throughout the game like you do on the other settings. The game is set in stages and levels. There are so many levels in a stage, and at the end of the stage there's a boss fight. Each level is unique to the other with its own atmosphere what makes up the stage, and each stage has its own theme to it. One minute you're going through a dragon style stage, then the next you're in early Japan, then to the far future with laser guns and shit. And I like how each level requires a different strategy to get through them and what the best character is for that level. There's 2 ways to end a level, is to kill the enemies on the map or get all your characters in your roster to the exit. Nevertheless, if you've got a large amount of characters, I just found it easier just to kill all the enemies on the map. There is a time limit on every stage, and the timer is your worst enemy in the latest stages in the game. You can be near enough to the end of the level and your timer runs out, and then it's all the way back to the beginning. There's no continues on the later stages. Only on the early stages it usually gives you to continue. It can be harsh like that, yet if your timer runs out and you got one character to the exit, you proceed on to the next level with just that one character who made it to the exit. And the game does start off quite easy and then it gets harder as you progress. The game is quite challenging until you start getting a pattern down on every level and the best way to tackle them. And I like how it did challenge me and made me think of my approach on these levels. There is a massive amount of enemy variety and tactics that they will use. Some will try and rush you, while others will stay up on the walls and fire arrows at you, and others will disappear in 1 or 2 spots. I never really got bored on facing these enemies. You can easily get overwhelmed on some of these levels and have to act really fast, except I found myself when I took all of the enemies down that tried to rush me, I just couldn't stop grinning. Where I survived and didn't lose one character, That's something that this game does, it turns you into that purple cat. Boss fights are interesting and always had something new for me to fight and learn the pattern of it. But the one boss fight that sticks out more than the others to me is this big ass knight. I just love the artwork on that and how badass it looks. Although the boss fight towards the end of the game did get me swearing quite a bit and figuring out the pattern of it that it was using. And I've got to say again that you don't get any continues this far in. When your characters are all used up, it's back to the beginning again. So you can't fuck up. So there's a lot of tension on this last boss fight. It had my heart pumping, and when I defeated it, I could feel the adrenaline going and the accomplishment of completing this game, and it had me smiling for some time. For the graphics, I think they're alright for a 16-bit title what got released back in 1990. It's not the prettiest game I've seen on this system, yet I found them alright. The animations I thought was nicely done, especially where it seems like the enemy is dancing to the music in the levels. Yeah, I ain't got a clue how to play this. The soundtrack is a hit and miss, sometimes it's brilliant. And it's very upbeat. I think that I might try and get this as my new ringtone. But on the other hand, there's levels where it's like nails on a chalkboard. For how long the game is, I would say it's about an hour and a half, so it's an okay length of the game of its time when it came out. So in the end, I had a lot of fun with this game and I would recommend it if you're a Mega Drive fan, except I know that this game isn't for everyone and it can take a bit of time to get into it. So if you play Game Grounds, what do you think of it? Leave it in the comments below. Until next game, I'm fucking off. I wonder what the next game is. Fuck no! Ain't this place great? You got Vikings, you got samurais what can throw tornadoes around, and you got robots and futuristic shit. And at one point I thought I saw Robocop. Hey, wait a minute. I came here with a chair.